Hey everybody, welcome to Leading Thriving Cities. This is our show where we shine a spotlight on leadership in public service, and we have deep conversations about sustainability and how we build a thriving future for our cities. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners. Today's guest is David Morgan. This is David's second appearance on the episode, and much like the special episode we did with Emily Crawford, we're doing one with David where he reflects on a decade in the city of Georgetown. Most city managers don't spend a decade in one place, and so I think there's a lot of wisdom there. And so we have him reflect on what are the top 4 things that he would go back and tell himself on day one. There is so much wisdom in here, not just for city managers and people that are already in that role, but really leaders all throughout public service, ACMs who are looking up, trying to decide, do I want to be city manager? We dive right in with some very deep questions and some deep answers, and you are going to love the wisdom he brings to this. Thank you for joining us today on Leading Thriving Cities. David, thank you for coming back and doing a second episode of Leading Thriving Cities. So you and Emily Crawford, the only 2 guests we've had on twice. So that's interesting company, I think, for both of you.
She's my hero.
She says the same thing about you. That's why I know this will work. So we wanted to have you on. You've been in Georgetown now as city manager for just over a decade, and that is rare. City managers, for better or worse, do not last a decade in most cities.
A lot of people lost lots of money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so really, I think there's something interesting about making it through that decade and then reflecting and saying, okay, what did you learn? And the way I always think about it is if you could go back to day one, David Morgan, who's starting, he's excited. I actually watched a video the other day that was you closer to day one than today.
No. Yes.
And so, I got sent that, and I don't think you were happy about that. But I think reflecting and saying, what would you go back and tell yourself? What have you learned that are those kind of core lessons? And so we want to dive into 4 of those today and kind of see where that takes us. So a decade in Georgetown, you had some time to reflect on it. Where did you land? What was the first lesson that you would go back and tell yourself?
Well, I had lots of lessons. So the challenge is narrowing down to 4. Seriously, narrowing down to 4. And then I had someone that I trust quite a bit who helped me pick the top 4. So these are the top 4 based on some wise feedback.
Lori's intake?
Yes, from Lori Brewer's intake, for sure.
There you go.
All right, so the first one that I have is you have everything you need to be a great city manager. You don't have to prove it to yourself or to anyone else.
Yeah.
So I in my career, I've only been in 2 cities, so almost 28 years in 2 cities. And so that's pretty unique.
Yeah.
Although other people have the same, everybody has a different path, but other people have been in communities for a while. So I'd been in city management for 17 years coming into Georgetown, and worked closely with councils the whole time.
Yeah.
So thought that I knew a whole lot.
And the view from below is different from the view at this level.
And jumped in and realized, there was a lot of things I didn't know. And, and also, actually, I thought, I really need to go apologize to a couple of city managers I worked for, because I had some judgments to them that were just not right.
Yep.
Like, now I know why they did that. Okay, that makes sense. But, and so by being in a assistant city manager and a deputy city manager for a long time working, but not being a city manager, but being in the profession. Yeah. I had a lot of expectations on myself, for sure. Always have a lot of expectations on myself, which is what I'm working on. But it wasn't until about 4 years in being city manager in Georgetown, I went through this leadership program. I'm very thankful to have been a part of it, where we did a bunch of self-assessment. We were on this street doing self-assessments, and I'm working through my self-assessment with my partner, Eileen Stein, and she just stops me right in the middle, and she says, "Hey, you're a good city manager, right?" And I just kind of sit back and all of a sudden started tearing up, realizing, no, I don't know that.
Yeah.
And I am spending a lot of time and energy trying to prove that to myself and everyone else. And that energy is not productive energy. And so just unpacking that. So I think I've come to a place where I can say that I am a good city manager and not feel that that's bragging or that's, doing anything that's kind of being selfish.
Yeah.
And so, but I think I think I would be a better city manager starting off knowing that I'm
You have nothing to prove.
yeah, I'm nothing to
Yeah.
prove. I have I mean, I'm always learning,
Yeah.
always growing. So that's not to say that's not the case, but
Hmm.
but that uh, but that I have everything I need to do that. I don't have to prove it to anyone else. I don't have to prove it to myself.
It's an interesting tension point to hold of I simultaneously have nothing to prove
Yeah,
and I've got everything I need to do an incredible job and I'm always getting better. And it's this, I love this idea because I mean, it's the core of the book I just wrote is this idea that you're enough and you have nothing to prove. And when you show up with nothing to prove, you show up about other people.
yeah.
When you have something to prove, you show up about yourself and it feels different. And so that's a hard tension to maintain of, yeah, I'm good enough for today and I can be better.
Yeah, my dad's a retired pastor, my mom's a teacher,
Hmm.
and they both have kind of careers in service,
Yeah.
and it's in service above just service of a higher
Yeah.
calling. And I feel the same way. Not necessarily that I'll do this for my entire life, but right now where I'm placed, I'm
Hmm.
doing this for a purpose, and because of that, you have for me, a real sense of responsibility,
Yes.
not only for making good decisions and for showing up well for people today, but
Yeah.
also making good decisions for generations in the future. And that overemphasize that can be way too much
Yeah.
on yourself and other people.
Yeah. It's such a long road. You have to create that sustainability we talk
Yeah.
about all the time. Because if it is, I'm going to take on the weight of the future entirely, that's hard. But can I take on the weight of today in service of tomorrow? Like that's where we find that. I'm curious how as you've gone down that road, because this is probably the Athenian group you're referring to, is my guess.
That's right. It's the group that you need to be in the last third of your career in order to be in this group or be asked
Yeah.
to be a part of the leadership
Yeah.
program. And when I was asked, I didn't realize it was in the last third of my career. I'm like,
It was just an
what?
honor. You were like, oh, it means I'm getting old.
Seasoned city managers who are in the last third. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I guess I am in the last third of my career.
Yeah.
So it's that leadership program's about, and I love it because I love that just what it means, which is that whether you're in your first step or you're close to final step in your career, that you're always growing, you're always leading, you're always giving back, you're always trying to get better.
Yep.
And so that's what I was invited to be a part of.
Well, and I'm sure they're a part of this journey, but I'm curious, what else did you do? Because it's one thing to hear, hey, you're enough, you're a great city manager. But that also goes against all your wiring that says I'm not enough and I've got to get better.
Yeah.
And so hearing it once is not necessarily enough. We have to do work to start to internalize that and to start to believe it and then to start to operate that way. What did some of that work look like for you beyond just development with the Athenian group?
Well, several things. One is I went through counseling for a couple of years.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah, and it just there was read an article in PM Magazine, so the city manager by CMA Magazine, and it was speaking to he had just quit and got another job, but I think he's back working for the city manager of Phoenix. But he wrote this story about burnout, and he had this quote in there. He said, my tank was empty, but I felt like I had more tread on my tires.
Oh, wow. I love that quote.
Like, wow. That's incredible because I feel the exact same way. I feel like I'm completely, my tank is empty. Ideally I'd like to work a few more years, several more years. But I do not know how I'm going to actually get that done.
Yeah.
So that plus a combination of a few other things led me to go into do some therapy. And so, as you know, I'm Enneagram 3, some big achiever. So we go in, we talk through some stuff.
Did you go and try to impress your therapist?
Oh,
like
absolutely.
I'm going to win therapy.
100%.
That doesn't surprise me.
and then it's okay. Give me my list. Like she would give me a list of things I need to work on. Like not work on, but like work on between for the next session, right? So I'm working on that. And then she said, well. That went on for several sessions. And then I got to the end of one of the sessions. I'm like, okay, give me my list. What do I need to work on for the next time? She goes, that.
The same thing.
And I'm like, what? And she's like, that.
Yeah.
We're going to work on the need for you to have that list.
Mm.
And why does there have to be a list? Why does there have to be a net? Why can't you just be happy with the progress you've made and where you are?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's. So then my evaluation with the city council was coming around, and so I was talking through that and how it kind of, just walking through that the counseling session. She said, well, how do you handle the evaluation feedback? I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, when you get the evaluation, like, what do you do? I was like, well, I look through all the comments and I quickly go to the things that I need to improve on and highlight them and then work on those things. And she goes, okay. Well, of the things that are good and the things that are you need to work on, like, what's the percentage between the good things and the work on? I'm like, well, sometimes I'm frustrated because there's really not enough feedback to where I can work on stuff. So it's like, I've only got maybe 4 comments, 5 comments, out of, so the percentage is maybe 90-10 or 95-5. She goes, so you take the 90% or 95% of the comments and you don't, so what do you do with those? I'm like, I ignore them because I've got to work on the things I need to get better on. She goes, and then you're challenged because you're not satisfied and your tank's empty. Like, really?
Yeah.
And she said, what would it look like to do that? She goes, I said, it'd look, for me, it would look,
awkward.
Not awkward. For me to look at the 95% would be, and focus on that would be, almost feel like I was being, I don't know, I don't know, being I don't know what the right word is. Sorry. Being
prideful.
Prideful. Yeah. Prideful is a good word for it. Prideful.
Yeah.
And she says, okay, what I need you to do is I need you to actually go in, because those people, like, you believe, you trust their feedback, you value the feedback. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And we get a 360 evaluation. So I trust and value the feedback of people I work with. And she said, okay, so you do that. So you don't then look at that. She goes, what I want you to do this time is I want you to look through the evaluation comments and focus on the positive things first and highlight them, summarize them, and then savor them.
Savor. That's a great word for that.
And I was like, savor them. She goes, yes. Think of it like putting a piece of hard candy in your mouth. You can't chew it. You've just got to let it melt.
Wow. And that's wisdom coming from that council member.
Really hard to do.
Yeah.
And but it helped me kind of reshift my brain to be like, okay, I can believe the good things that are being the good feedback, and that is helpful in terms of just my psyche of balancing your that you have everything you need to be a good city manager.
And it takes practice to do that, right? I always tell the stories. A couple years ago, a mentor of mine, Andrew, was introducing me at a conference, and he was saying all these nice things, and I'll say it in much nicer language than he did because we're on YouTube. And I don't want to get struck here, but he was saying all these nice things about me, and I did what I always do. I was like, oh, Andrew, he's a liar. There's no way any of that's true. And he puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, Chad, I love you. And I was like, thanks. And he goes, when people say nice things about you, which is going to happen a lot, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to say thank you, and you're going to internalize it, and you're going to start to believe it, or you can shut the hell up. And I was like, oh, and he used a little bit saltier language than shut the hell up, but it impacted. And I went, oh, I just need to say thank you and try to accept that for them, that is their experience of me, and that's okay. And it has taken a while, but I've finally gotten where not only do I say thank you to be polite, I start to internalize that, go, hey, what if that was true? What if we are capable of more than we even know? And it's taken practice. It's taken years now to be comfortable with that.
Yeah. I mean, this last year's been a test of that. When I hit the 10-year mark, and for those city managers who are hearing this or watching this, this is not normal. I know, and I'm very fortunate.
Very blessed.
Yeah, very blessed, and for a lot of different ways. But when I hit the 10-year mark, our mayor said, "Hey, let's go to dinner and celebrate your 10 years." I'm like, you don't need to do that. Come on. Like, that doesn't, no, let's go to dinner. Let's do this. It'd be fun to do. And I'm like, okay. All right. And I'm in my head going, just say thank you. Yes, you can do that. I walk in, and my wife's, TC comes with me, and walk in, and all the council's there, all their spouses are there to celebrate 10 years. And I'm thinking, I'm having the whole dinner. In my mind doing what your friends tell you, like just say thank you, don't minimize this, like be appreciative of this. Yeah. So it's an ongoing practice for sure.
It is. And I think it's key to figuring this out, because I think if you think back to when you started this, you mentioned that all the energy that goes into trying to prove something is not good energy. That's not helpful. Yeah. What would have been possible over a decade if that energy had not gone into that, it had gone into other things. And I think that's what I reflect on. And it feels like, man, I feel like I'm behind when I think about that. But the reality is I had to go through what I had to go through to get where I am. And I think the same is probably true there.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that, man. This is a hard one, I think, for leaders to wrestle with.
I started with the hardest one.
It really is challenging. Your next one, though, I find fascinating. You have a thing in here. You said you can move a rock. You can move 300 rocks an inch or 3 rocks a mile.
That's right.
Tell me about that.
Well, so in our office, one of our assistant city managers, he had a portrait made of me. Well, actually, it started.
Hold on, he had a portrait.
I got to go backwards. So I did not make this up. This is something I learned through a leadership program. But he. So we like to have some fun, not too much fun. But like to have some fun, and there was a couple day period of time where all the assistant city managers were out of the office doing something. They were on vacation or leadership thing or education thing, whatever. And so I thought, well, you know what? I'm the only one here. I'm going to get a portrait of myself. I'm going to put in a frame and I'm going to put in their offices. And, just because they respect me so much that they're going to have a portrait of me in their office.
Yes.
And so, and I put it, some I hid. Some, and kind of like an awkward, or small place where hopefully they wouldn't notice for a week or two. And others I put really close. And so, of course, it's Wayne Nero. So Wayne, of course, has to like, oh, that's funny, but guess what?
I'm going to take it up a notch.
Yeah. And so then he blew the portrait up and he put it outside his office and he put underneath, he goes, hey, I got a great idea. And can we get that done by tomorrow?
I was going to say, that's your catchphrase, isn't it?
Yeah. And so there's so many opportunities that I see that others see. And I know that, I can, just because it's a good idea doesn't mean it's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
And you can't do 300 things all at one time. You can't do 30 things all at one time. So this leadership program I went through, they were talking about how, you focus on the handful of things that you can do so you can do well, instead of trying to do all the things.
Yeah. And
that's what we try to do with, so I try to work on that. I also really try to do that with our entire leadership team and all the different departments. So we have a work plan, a departmental work plan that they set out at the beginning of the year, and then they wrap it up at the end of the year. The work plan is supposed to be, what is the major work that needs to happen within this department? The question is not only that, but it's, okay, now, do we have too much on the list?
Yeah.
And how do we narrow that list down?
It can't be 30 things.
Right. How do we narrow that list down? Because if you put too much, you put too much stress, you're not going to get things done. You're going to juggle those, spin those plates. And just enough to get the turn every few times, you're not going to make progress. And I think it's hard in a growing city. It's hard in any organization, any growing city, or any city at all to do this, but especially hard in a growing city where you feel like you've got so many things you need to work on. And so it's a discipline for myself, but it also needs to be a discipline for our entire organization, and allows for us, because there's plenty of things that are on fire all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy just to spend all your time with trying to put a fire out, that you forget the really important work you have to get done in order to be able to make sure that that you're progressing, whichever department, whatever function, whatever service thing that you're working on. Make sure you're making meaningful progress.
Yeah, and it's funny how the overwhelming nature of it. And I find it's parallel with when we burn out.
Yeah.
When we burn out, everything, overwhelm's a sign of it. Everything becomes an emergency.
Yeah.
And we lose sight of what actually matters. And then it's funny, you'll do that for a year and look up and go, what the hell did we do this year? Did we do anything?
No, that's right.
And yet you did a million things.
Yeah.
And so I love that idea of focus, but it also requires a high level of patience to say, hey, I see the 30 things that need to be done, but we're going to spend this year focused on these 2, which means the other 28 get put off. How have you learned to navigate that?
Well, one, it's making sure it's just making sure what is the highest priority.
Yeah.
What's going to make them move the needle the most.
Yeah.
So it might be it's all about impact versus effort.
Yep.
Measuring those things. Obviously, there's council goals, community, pressing issues you can focus on. But I think it's important for not only for me, but for other leaders in our organization, not only to say, okay, these are the things we need to work on now, but okay, what are the next things and the things after that? That doesn't mean you have to do them now.
Yeah.
But you can actually, it's really important to see that a few years down the road. So right now, for example, one of the things that I'm working on, interested in is creating a broader strategic plan, working with our council to do that for our city. But I also want to do that in connection with our comp plan. And our comp plan doesn't need to be updated to this year, but it needs to be updated within the next 3 years. So I'm thinking through how do we work on a strategic plan with council, and what are the steps to work through all of that, but how do we also combine efforts and do the comp plan together? Well, that's not something we need to work on this year, but something we need to start preparing for. So I'm not necessarily, that's not one of the major rocks to work on today. Yeah. But that's one of those.
You see it out there.
You see it out there, and how are you creating, a path to make sure that can happen?
It's interesting when I think about that kind of work, that's high level work, right? To not be in the weeds, not be putting out fires, but to be up and go, and I see out 3 years, we got to get this figured out. We got to start thinking in this direction. My guess is when we are in the mode of trying to prove that we're doing a good job, that we don't spend time up there, do we? We spend a lot of time down here, because down here, it's easy to point to outcomes and go, hey, we had a problem. I showed up, strapped on the cape like the hero, put the fire out. Look at that. And we feel good about ourselves. Other people notice us, right? We've proven we belong there. But to sit in our office and say, okay, for the next hour, I'm going to think about 3 years from now. And it's going to look like I'm not doing anything. That's hard for us, I think.
Yeah, I think I do think it's very hard to do. That's why I mow my own yard.
Yep.
So I mow the yard. I do other things. I like to do house projects. I'm not very handy, so I don't do things that require much skill. That's more labor intensive.
Yeah.
But I do it because it gets my mind, just allows me to think through bigger picture things. Also allows me to see something from start to finish, like in a very short period of time, which we don't.
That doesn't happen often, right?
It doesn't happen. Yeah. But that is my encouragement for people to stay in an organization that can longer.
Yeah.
For that reason, because you've been able to see things. I mean, it's taken us. We're going to open our first parking garage. Probably taken us over a decade to build a parking garage in downtown Georgetown. And I don't want to go into all that. We can if you want to, but I don't want to go into that. But my point is that it's taken that long. So, it's making sure that you can be in the right headspace and whatever works for you. Right.
Well, it takes so much patience, but I think it also takes resilience. The idea of the garage sounds really nice. Like, oh man, I got this idea. Let's build this garage, And then you don't look at it and go, oh man, that's going to take a decade. Imagine are you going to have the resilience 5 years in to still want to motivate people and fight that fight and keep everybody moving in the right direction? And that requires a tremendous amount of health. That's you taking care of yourself to develop that resilience. And some of it's mowing lawns. Some of it's doing bad carpentry work, I guess.
No, I don't do carpentry work.
I said bad carpentry work.
I can paint. Yeah, I can mow. I can do stuff like that.
That's good, because the key to great city management is keeping all your fingers. So we're glad you're not doing carpentry work. It also occurs to me, you said that y'all like to have fun. And I find that really interesting, because I think it's easy when you're a leader to get into the mode of people wanting or needing to stop and celebrate, and you going, yeah, but look at how tall the mountain is. Like, why are we going to stop here and celebrate? And again, if we're trying to prove something, it is all about that. And your council reviews of let's look at what needs to be done, not how good we're doing. Over the years, my guess is you've gotten better at that. Stop, celebrate, really, really dig in and enjoy something. As you have gotten better at it individually, looking at the praise and accepting some of it, you've probably also led your team in a healthier way where we are going to stop and have fun, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm, if you have a healthy sleep pattern, which I'm always attempting to, that you spend most of your waking hours, if you're full time,
Mm-hmm.
with the people you work with.
Yeah.
And so that investment of time is not, it's
Mm-hmm.
not insignificant.
Yeah.
That's what I share with new employees or in front of employee groups quite
Mm-hmm.
a bit is, we want to pay you competitively. That's
Mm-hmm.
important. We want to give you the right benefits, all of those things, equip you with the tools necessary to do your job. But the time that you're committing, that you're giving us, because it's such a precious resource, like that's a big thing. And we want to make sure that that investment of your time is a worthy investment.
Yeah.
And so, part of that work environment of being a worthy investment is enjoying the people you work with.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is having a little fun together. You can have fun, you can enjoy, you can develop relationships with each other. That's a part of building a culture that's sustainable, that can achieve incredible results. So
Yeah.
I do enjoy having fun. I do enjoy joking around, but I also, there is a purpose behind it for me anyway, that I am working to build a team that trusts each other, that shares with each other, is open with each other. I love all the Jim Collins work and Lencioni's work and the 5 dysfunction of a team with Lencioni, and talking about, trust is the highest level of a high functioning team. And the definition of trust is being able to sit around and share your weaknesses and know that someone else is going to be there to help you with that, and so having fun together is a part of that formula, I think.
Well, and you said there's a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that we lose sight of, is it is not just fun for fun's sake. It's fun to develop the relationship and the trust, and that means it has meaning. And so it's part of this long journey. Today, your communications director, Allie Van Dyke, her episode came out. And a lot of what we ended up talking through was the relational aspect of spending time with other departments and how much that matters, and spending time with citizens and how much that matters. And it's in that time that relationship is built. And I always think of it in terms of marriage. You, like me, you've been married a long time. And so in that marriage, if all we do is have a season where we do nothing but solve problems together, there's not really a relationship there. It's when we invest in relationships, say, we'll solve the problems, but we're going to spend time just talking, just spending time investing in that. That's when things are good. And I don't think it's any different with our people. When they spend time not trying to solve the latest budget issue that popped up or the latest council problem, but spending time going, hey, how are your kids doing?
Right.
Tell me about them. Like, that's where magic happens.
Right.
But we have to create space for it.
Yeah. One of my heroes in the profession is Felissa Logan. She's done work with ICMA and leadership programming for a number of years. And she has this phrase, it's called connection before content.
Yeah.
And so it's all about connecting. And you've got to be able to have connection before you can have, really work through good content. I think that's, I'm 100% a believer in that. So yes. So that sometimes that funny looks different. So you were sent some videos that's internal funny. I told Allie, there's internal funny and there's external funny. So you got to see some of our holiday gems. So Georgetown Central Messages that are internal videos that I've done over the years, and our team has done over the years. This next one that's coming out, which we'll preview at the holiday luncheon, is Shark Tank. So we did the shooting last week. Well, I think it's going to go well, but.
Yeah. Well, and what I know of the videos I've watched is the ones where you're dressed as an elf are automatically 30% better. I'm just going to throw that out there. People can bother you and your staff to hopefully get a hold of those. I'm not going to leak them, but you dressed as Buddy the Elf is pretty amazing.
That was I don't think that exists anymore.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I dreamed it up. I don't know. We'll see. Your third one here, and I love the fact that you showed this to somebody else and they highlighted this. This is my favorite. It says, get to the source of why you're frustrated, ... Start with yourself. Tell me about this.
So I can, I have a tendency, just like we've talked about earlier, I have a tendency to focus on, and other people on the podcast have talked about, people don't show up in your office and say, hey, I just want to let you know about all the good things going on.
Yes, amazing job.
Right. And then you show up in your office and say, hey, I've got a really easy problem that I need your answer on, So you're focused on the most difficult problems, typically frustrating things. And so I recognize that. I've been recognizing more myself lately that I'll just get in this mood where I'm like, I'm just really frustrated.
Yeah.
I know that's a broad term, so I need to define that a little bit better. But anyway, I'm really upset, angry, and so I need to understand that better. So what I started doing is sitting down and writing down all the things, like what am I upset about?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I look at it, I'm like, okay, well, like, I think half of these things are really silly and dumb that I shouldn't be upset about at all.
Yes.
These are not things to be upset about.
It's amazing how seeing things in black and white, there's
Yeah.
clarity there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And then the things you are upset about, for me, most of them are really, they're things that I realized I'm not doing well. Like it's a problem where I'm most upset because there's something that I'm doing that's not helping this situation, or a decision I made or something like that. Which helps me then say, okay, well, then what can I do to make a positive impact on this instead? And so something I've heard before that I really believe in, and hopefully it doesn't sound negative. It's not intended to be negative at all, I promise. But I'm a big believer that that you can make, if you're upset or frustrated about something, you're upset about where you are or the situation you're in, then draw a circle around yourself and work on everything inside that circle. It's not to say that other people aren't influencing you outside, or you don't need a positive influence. It's like, no, if you want things to get better, you need to actually, like, what can you do to make a difference? What do you need to change about yourself?
Yeah.
How do you need to grow in order to be able to better influence the things around you? And so that's what I found is usually when I'm frustrated, it's like, well, one, I'm telling silly things to myself that aren't true. Two, a lot of things are things I can do. There's some things I can't. There's some things that you can't.
Yeah.
They're outside things that are happening that you can't. You can make a positive impact on, but it's still going to be there no matter what. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of those in my experience. When I work through it and write it down, there's not a lot of situations that are like that.
Yeah. And even when there are, when we work on us, it changes our experience of that thing.
That's right.
If something feels overwhelming, it's funny how often if we have a season where we're just running and there's not as much rest as I need, I'll just be driving and I will find that I'm just in my head looping on all the problems and all the things and how big everything feels. And I will stop and go, when's the last time I slept well? And inevitably it's like, oh, you haven't. So tonight we're going to prioritize. We're going to be intentional. I get a good night's sleep. I wake up the next morning. Nothing has changed except me. The problems are still there. They're still the same size they were. But I'm able to right size the problem and go, oh, we got this. And every bit of that is me. And we did a retreat recently for Gina Nash and her team out in Saxe. And I don't think she would mind me telling this, but she was talking about things she was frustrated with. And she said, guys, I got to tell you, hi, I'm the problem. Like, yes, I'm frustrated about these things, but I have to understand that I'm part of the problem and I have to get better in order to change my experience of that problem. And so I love that idea of being able to say, you know what, I am probably at the core of a lot of my frustration. And my guess is, as we dug into this, like when you think about the problems that you were frustrated with it didn't stop with you. My guess is that frustration landed on other people. Because we always talk about the idea that when you show up as an unhealthy leader, you're kind of draining life from people around you. And so you're mad at you, but the people around you feel the brunt of that.
That's right.
Is that did you start to notice that and feel the need to kind of work on that?
Yes, I think I did. I don't know. Is that on my list?
It probably is.
Oh, that's my last one. That's my last one. Is that your leadership health has immense influence for positive or destructive outcomes.
Yes.
So yes, so 100%. This leadership program I was in, it said you bring the weather. So I can, if I'm bringing a thunderstorm for the day, it's not going to go well. It's going to be a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to overemphasize my role necessarily, but I think this is for any leader, frankly, for anyone working with anyone else on any team at all.
Yeah.
Is if you're coming in with the thunderstorm and that's your weather, you're going to impact other people.
Yeah.
And so my own leadership health, my own personal health, I'm convinced. So I'm 52. I know I don't look it.
I was thinking late 30s. I'm shocked right now.
You weren't thinking I look
shocked
older
right now.
Did you? Yeah. So, but I'm 52 and I started in as city manager in my early 40s. And I'm focused on making, I'm gonna make my 50s my best decade. Like that's my goal. I'm gonna work on that. And I've never thought about that before. Does it make sense? So I'm other people are way better than me about thinking through all of those things, but I'm doing that. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm going to be healthy physically. I'm gonna work on being healthy physically. I'm gonna work on balancing taking time off. So it took, you took a sabbatical this summer.
Yep.
But you wrote a book while you were on sabbatical.
But to me, that also, it is work, but simultaneously brings life.
You on the defensive?
Hold on. No.
Oh, it's great.
It's my lawn.
Oh, okay.
It really is. Like, I enjoy writing. And so it is both work and life-giving in certain ways.
Okay. All right. Just trying to put you on the defensive a little bit. That's all.
By the way, we've renamed it. I'm going to do it every year now. This is how valuable I found it. We've renamed it a creative sabbatical.
Yeah.
So it is both rest and write. And so,
that resonates with me, frankly, more than just
taking off for 31 days.
And I'm not critical of anyone that's taking a sabbatical. I think it's awesome. But I took my longest vacation I've ever taken in my life. I was on this podcast where you're like, I'm going to hold you accountable to this. And I did. I took it. We were on our 30th wedding anniversary, and I took email off my phone. So you could still get a hold of me, calling me or texting me if there was an emergency. But I took email off my phone, did not look at it. I was going to take email off my iPad, and I chickened out at the last minute. But I moved the icon. I moved it all the way to like the back
baby
page.
steps.
And I every once in a while I swipe over there and look at it and see that my assistant was managing my email. I'd see it go from like 200 something emails, unread emails, down to 30.
Yeah.
And then, you'd see it swing. But I didn't open it up. I didn't look at it because I'm like, I'm not. It's all good. But I took time, and I've never done that before. I've never taken that much time off and taken those steps. And so I'm committed to do more of those kinds of trips so rest, take time off, do the things I need to do in order to, but all of that's to keep my tank,
that's it.
Not from going on E, but also to show up better for people.
Yes.
This makes sense for it to lead to
Well,
better
you talk
outcomes.
about your 50s being your most impactful decade. And this is the funny part.
I didn't say that, but that's a better way to say that.
Yeah.
I just said it was going to be my
Which,
best
by the way,
decade.
you're going to get to like 58, 59 and be like, oh, my 60s. That's got to be my best decade, But to make it your most impactful decade, we talk about this idea that in order to move forward, sometimes you have to move back. So your next step forward might be a step back. Yeah. Rest is a step back. It feels, and that's why it feels awkward to us. It feels like retreat. It feels like, oh my gosh, I'm losing when I do this, right? I'm losing what could be. But in reality, you're creating what could be. You're creating more capacity, more space. But it also, we have to learn how to get good at it. My guess is the next time you do that, you're probably not going to be watching the email roller coaster as much because you've learned, okay, they've got this. We're going to be okay. So you may check it some, but my guess is it will be less than the first time. And over time, progressively, it gets better and better. It's gotten where when I'm off now, I don't even look at my phone. Like I just basically ignore that my phone exists. And it's really nice. And it's gotten so automatic now on the weekends. I'm just rarely, my poor kids, they will text me and I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. So they was texting me like, hey, you want to come do something? They never hear from me. They think I don't love them.
That's good.
It turns out I just ignore my phone. So I think over time that gets better and better. But this idea of determining how you show up, you said you don't want to overemphasize the importance of your role. I think we overemphasize the importance of a lot of things in leadership. I don't think this can be overemphasized. This idea that how you show up determines how people go home. Yeah. That's a huge responsibility. There are people who you determine their capacity to go home and be good parents. That's massive.
Yeah, thanks. No pressure.
He's like, I'm going to be stressed about that all day now.
What I meant by overemphasize is what I meant by that is I'm not the only one. Does it make sense?
Right. Yes.
There is everyone that comes and works in our organization has that
same responsibility.
I understand that in my role as city manager, kind of being the CEO of the city, that my impact can be greater for positive or for negative, and so that's why it's just so critical that I'm continuing to work on myself. And and it's you never stop. I play golf, and I was good at golf for like 5 years of my life, in my 30s, and ever since before then and after then, I've always just struggled at trying to be good at golf. And once you like think you're good at one part of it,
Yeah.
something else breaks down, and then it's just it's a constant
It's a
thing.
constant
It's a
adjustment.
good metaphor for this, which is just you're just constantly working on yourself, and that's you should never stop doing that.
Well, and the realization that I'm the problem, start with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge because I run into leaders all the time that are so frustrated with their team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not growing. They're not getting unstuck. They're just doing the same things over and over again, and they're causing all these problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, tell me about your growth. How are you getting unstuck? How are you getting better? Well, I'm trying to manage them. I don't have to. Okay, well, maybe the path to them getting better is you leading and you getting better. And that we have to have that realization that I'm the problem in order to ever find the solution to that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. We have way more, each one of us has way more influence and, over our, what we're frustrated about or the problems that we are involved in. Like we just have a lot more, agency of than we think we do.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think it's understanding the impact of all the different things that we do, and that there are no wasted words, there are no wasted actions. Everything is very it has a lot of weight to it, and so I think we lose sight of that sometimes.
I think that when you do show up
mm-hmm.
and you do bring a thunderstorm, I think the best thing you can do with that is come back and clean it up and do it well. So, because we're all we're all fallible people.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make mistakes all the time. We're not going to handle things the way we should.
Yeah.
If we can model though what it looks like to try to make something right, and not only do it in a way that's where you're doing it for the person that you impacted, but you do it in front of everyone that saw it.
Yep.
And it's hard.
Yes.
So I remember, it was a while back, but I remember saying something really rude to our city attorney in a department meeting, and I was really frustrated about a bunch of things going. I was in one of my frustrated days, and she said something that just totally triggered me, and I said something that was not healthy in front of the entire group, and so I went back and apologized to her one-on-one. We talked through it and, didn't try to justify, like, I'm sorry you felt that way, or
just, I shouldn't have
hey,
done
let
that.
me explain this, why I did that. No, I was just wrong. Yeah. And then the next time we had our director meeting, I stopped it and made sure that I apologized to her in front of everyone and did that. So I think, modeling that is really important to do.
Yeah.
And it's really important to set the right tone for everyone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's when I think about, I think everything relates to marriage and parenting. Yes. You're talking about parenting, right? I screwed up so much with my sons growing up, but I think one of the things that I got right, even when I was young and immature and just an idiot, the things I got right was I would screw it up, but then I would go sit with them and apologize, and I would teach them how to own it and just sit down and go, hey, here's what I did. Here's what I should have done. Here's what I was thinking. Here's what I was frustrated with. I should not have done that. I'm so sorry. Shouldn't have yelled at you. Shouldn't have said that. Like, I apologize for that. And my new theory on parenting that I've developed recently is, as a parent, because there's not really a guidebook. I mean, there are thousands of guidebooks, but nobody can really help. You got to experience this, right? I think you're going to get a few things right. I think you're going to get a ton of things wrong. But as long as you're right about the right things, that's what makes a great parent.
Yeah.
And I think overall we were right about the right things. Does that also apply to leadership and to city management? That this ability to accept that you're going to go on a journey and you're going to screw a lot of things up along the way. But as long as we're right about the right things and how we handle it, we're okay.
As long as one of those right things is that we recognize we're going to screw things up, we're going to try and make them right.
Yes.
Does it make sense? So, because we're all a marriage, parenting, any relationship that you have, if things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And it's going to be because of you or someone, a combination. Right. But how much stronger does that relationship get, whether it's at work or whether it's in your family, whatever, when you can work through that and have reconciliation and actually and have forgiveness and that you create a much stronger bond, much better working relationship. Because when you do that again, when you screw up again, that person's going to know, okay, wait a minute, that
It's probably not about me.
it's not
It's
about
about the
me,
leader.
or it's
Yeah.
like, or that, he's that wasn't, that wasn't his best day. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on
Yeah.
that. And so anyway, I just, I think
Yeah.
that piece of reconciliations and doing it the right way is
Mm-hmm.
extremely important. It's hard to do. You rarely see it. Most of what you see is, and I'm not pointing fingers. I'm part of the problem, but you see is people leaving.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
you look at that in every relationship,
Mm-hmm.
every place, whether it's at work, whether it's with friends, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
with churches, whether it's with marriage.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to pick up and take all the problems and all the failures that you have and go to something new and think that it's all going to be different.
Yes.
It's so much better to be
Yeah.
able to work through that and improve yourself.
Yeah.
And own and build a strong relationship by seeking
Mm-hmm.
reconciliation.
Well, and I think that shows the impact a leader can have, because that always requires someone to lead. And you're showing up with vulnerability, you're showing up with humility to say, hey, I might have screwed that up. And it applies to you and your team. It applies to the city council. It applies to the citizens. It's always being able to own things and find that reconciliation, but it requires a level of commitment. And like I think about, again, in a marriage, if you're committed, you're all in. It does not matter what happens. It does not matter how it goes. We're going to find a way to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it requires that with staff as well. I think it requires that with the city to say, you know what, I'm committed, which means I'm trying to build a long journey. And so I need to handle this well. But my question is, and I'm hoping you have some wisdom here, because there is the commitment of I'm going to make this work. But one of the things I think I've kind of figured out over the last few years of doing this work with city managers is, in order to be a successful city manager, I think you have to hold that job with an open hand and say, hey, there are lines I will not cross. And therefore, if council changes and suddenly it's not the right thing, it's okay if I'm not here next year. It's okay if something happens and changes. And I think that's the only way you navigate such a volatile career path without taking a ton of damage along the way. Because if you close your hand around and say, no, I've got to be here, I'm retiring from here, that's where you start to compromise on maybe some really important things. And so how have you found this ability to be committed, all in, I'm willing to do this no matter what, and I have an open hand enough to be okay if this is not where I'm at in 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is?
Oh,
That's a weird tension point, I know.
Well, I think that, well, one, and I maybe have talked about this before last time, but one is I recognize that I said to myself probably the first 5 or 6 years that I was as city manager, I said, when something would go wrong, no matter what the situation was, something go wrong, the first thing that came to my head was, I wonder if this is the thing that's going to get me fired.
Yeah.
And so I was fearful of that. And it took time one, for me to grow, grow. And then 2, to recognize there's a lot of things that go wrong. And as long as you're really working to try and fix them, usually they're not the things that are going to get you fired and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's just, so there's some limited thing. One, I think it's really important to understand your role as city manager and as city staff. So it's really working to equip the council to help them in their role, and what their role is as policy makers and decision makers there, and what is our role as staff to follow those things and lead a good organization, provide good service outcomes. But we're not getting in their realm, and then it's for me trying to create the balance with council saying, hey, no, this is where you're supposed to be working. Yeah. So that's probably where my guardrails are on in terms of what is my role and what's their role, and how do I protect that and protect the integrity of that.
And as long as we're in our lanes, it's going to run well.
So so there's, they can have outcomes, zoning decisions to funding decisions to whatever it might be that may be things that I wouldn't do that. I disagree with, but I can live with that, knowing that that's their role. That's things they're supposed to be working on. And the same thing, like if council's upset about a staff member or something like that, it's like I usually get to, well, what are you upset about? Let's talk through what the issue is. Let's go work on that instead of let's turn this into, and it may be an employee issue, an employment issue, but that's great. That's why you have me.
Yeah.
So you don't, and I've had to do that not a handful. If you're having to do that every week where you're having this conversation,
That's a problem.
then it's a sign that you're
Yeah.
probably, you probably need to be having your resume updated and, stuff like, I mean, seriously, because you get into a situation where your councils aren't willing to respect that.
Yep.
And that those are unfortunate, but that may be,
that's the kind of open hand. Like, hey, if y'all are going to insist on driving into my lane constantly, maybe I don't want to be on this road.
Yeah. And there were times, there's not many and not recent, but not many that
disclaimer, not recently.
No, not recent that someone's been really upset about a person and was wanting me to do something about that person. I was like, listen, I understand this problem. I understand what the issue is. I don't disagree about the problem, or I do disagree, but I agree with certain parts, but I don't agree with other parts. And I was like, that's why you have me. And it's like, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to fix it. And if you don't like it, then you can put me on the agenda. Yeah. And then you can fire me. Yeah. Or you can get the votes to fire me. But that's what's going to happen. You don't make this call. Yeah. But that's rare. That's not, fortunately I have not had to have those conversations a lot, but we do. And those are the lines that you draw. Yeah. So that you can, help people be successful in the role that they're supposed to be in.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like, that's how you hold that tension point of, I'm all in. As long as we're all living up to these things, whatever we identify, I'm all in. And I'm going to hold this with an open hand enough to know that if I push too hard or you veer too hard in my lane, I might be done. And that's okay.
Yeah. It's legal, obviously legal, ethical issues. And then what is my role, and how do I make sure that I can be successful? If you let other people do your role, whether it's a council, whether it's other staff, then you're going to have challenges, problems. Yeah.
I think this also ties directly back to your first subject, which, whenever those things would pop up and you're like, well, is this the thing that's going to get me fired? My guess is that plunged you directly into, in the early years, that probably plunged you directly into, well, I've got to prove something mode. Oh, yeah. And so that's that confidence to know, you know what, maybe it is the thing that gets me fired. That's okay. Like, I think that allows you to let go of that and not feel like you've got to prove something constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm going to do a bonus one here because I see something fascinating here. So being the overachiever you are, I said, what are going to be the 4 things? And you sent me a list of 10, and you had somebody else whittle them down to 4.
I started with 10 and I then whittled down to, 4. But I sent you all 10 because I thought, well, maybe there might be something on the list that you would fascinate you. And
there is.
Like, no, you need to talk about this.
I think I want some more clarity here because this is actually really interesting. Number 10, assistant city manager funny is not city manager funny. There's a story there. There has to be.
There's not good stories there. I mean, there aren't good. I mean,
there's stories that will make great clips.
I would say when I was working in one organization for 17 years, worked for the city of Richardson. It's great culture, great leaders, good relationship with council, and just, some of best professional relationships in my whole career. Yep. And so when you work with people like that, they know you can joke together. Yeah. And then you enter a new organization, and I was I did not realize how much I'd be homesick. Does it make sense? And if I left Georgetown today, I would be homesick of Georgetown. So that's not a Georgetown thing.
It's what you're used to.
It was, in fact, when I first started, I remember looking around going, okay, the phone is the same phone that I had in Richardson. It's the same kind of phone. I know how to work this phone.
Yes.
That's good. I've got one thing.
That's your anchor right there is the phone.
I know how to work the phone. I know what to dial to get an outside line.
I love that.
So, yeah, I would just say, I would say things, I don't know. I don't have good examples of what I would say other than I would say things that I thought were funny that are not funny. I mean, they're
coming from the city manager. They're not the same, are they?
No. You cannot talk about, you cannot jokingly talk about, and you should not jokingly talk about this ever, but you can't joke about like, if this doesn't work out, I don't wonder where you're going to be, and stuff like that. Like it is not funny.
Yeah.
And so I just have to, I recognize that, and I don't bat 1,000 at all still. I'm sure I say some things that are not.
That's the human experience right there.
Exactly. But I will catch myself before I say something like, no, we can move on. I don't need to talk about that. Like, I don't need to say that.
I think it's understanding the weight. Again, every word has weight.
That's
every action has weight. And it's funny, there's a city manager that I knew of because I worked with some people below this person, and they would have well, I think this is the thing that's going to get me fired. And it was a volatile situation. They didn't have a lot of support from their council, and they knew it. But what was interesting is how often that would come out from them. And as the city manager, when you're a director meeting with the city manager, and the city manager's like, yeah, this is probably the week I'm getting fired, it created so much chaos and so much fear throughout the organization. And so it can be a funny thing. It can be a joke that's taken wrong. It can also be that lack of security, that lack of self-confidence that bleeds out.
Yeah, your words have words of a city manager have different weight than the words of assistant city manager or someone else, and it can be used just like anything else for some really positive impact. That weight for positive impact, and also negative. And it's funny because I will hear people repeat things that I've said in other places. I'm like, that's why are they doing that? That's interesting. And I mean, like for example, hopefully this won't take long, but we do lean process improvement, do lean training for our organization, for everyone in our organization. The reason we do that is because there are constant things that we're trying to make improvements on. And a lot of times people are like, that's too hard to deal with. I don't have time to deal with that. Or it's too sticky. I can't. And so lean's supposed to really help with that and to help give you a tool to identify and solve some of those problems. So, and you go through an A3 process to get certification to do your lean. So I was going through my lean certification process, and I was finishing my A3, and we did like a lunch and learn session, and that's a regular session. It's not just for me, but it's a regular session. So they wanted me to come and talk about my working through an A3 process. And someone asked me, well, how do you start? Like, what's the best way to start? And I said, start with a crappy A3. That's how you start. Just write a crappy one down.
Yes.
And then, all of a sudden, that is their tagline for how you're working on A3. And I heard that so many times from other people.
Start with a crappy A3.
Yeah, start with a crappy A3. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, well, I don't know if I meant for that to be the thing that's repeated, but the point is your words have great impact.
Well, and you never know what people are going to latch on to, which, by the way, you're onto something with that. There's a writer named Anne Lamott, and she's a hilarious author, and she wrote a book about writing, and one of her concepts is you start with a shitty first draft. Every first draft is shitty, and if you're not willing to write a shitty first draft, you're never going to write a book.
Now you can put in ChatGPT and figure out what's going to go from there.
Okay, let's not go crazy, all right? But I find that interesting because you don't really know what they're going to latch onto. What are they going to hold on to and go, oh man, that's how we do things.
Well, and Wayne Nero's on me. He and in a good way, putting positive pressure on me to just continue to really refine those words.
Yeah,
and refine exactly how to say that and when to say that with folks. I am not always wired that way. So, but I'm working on it. So Wayne's helping with that.
Well, it occurs to me that our words as leaders often become frameworks for how people see the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we're always aware of that. Like that's the first time that's occurring to me, but yeah, it really is. Just we're throwing out random things that we think, and they're looking at it going, oh, that's how I've got to view everything now. And that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a weight to that. Last thing I want to cover with you on this, I think I've committed to stop making the joke about ACMs looking up at city managers and going, why the hell would you want to do that job? Because I think as politics gets a little worse, as public, decorum gets a little bit worse, I think you've got a lot more people at the ACM level looking at city manager going, you know what? I got it pretty good. I don't know that I want to go down that road anymore. And I think that's tough because it then tightens the market of the available good city managers. And we need a great city manager in every city in America. What would you say to ACMs that are looking up and going, do I really want to be city manager? What would you tell them?
Oh, gosh. Okay. What would I tell them? Well, one, when I was a assistant and a deputy city manager, so like kind of the number 2 person in Richardson, and I took the job to go to the city of Georgetown, I got phone calls from people that I admire saying, "What are you doing?"
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
because they're like, you're like in the sweet spot. You're in a great city with a great council.
There's a groove
you got a great
there,
city
right?
manager.
Yeah.
You're like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Like, are you? have you got like,
You got a screw loose
yeah,
kid?
seriously. And I, let me just speak to the reason why I decided to become a city manager. One is, I just felt like, as I look back, and this is a great question for assistant city manager, for anyone. That's great advice I got from Bob Herschert, who's one of the icons in the profession. He said, whenever you have a really important decision that you're trying to make, fast forward 30 years from now, look back on this situation and think about what would you wish you would have made the decision you made? What would what should that be? Right.
Yeah.
I've used that just over and over in my life. So when I was looking at my career and going, okay, 30 years from now, and I'm way retired or whatever, and I'm looking back on my career, what do you wish you would have done? I was like, I think I could be a good city manager. I really do. And so I think I would have regretted not doing that. So I will say that to all the ACMs out there, because not everyone should be a city manager. It's fine. Is look back with that mindset, think about, would I regret it? And if the answer is yes, then you need to go be a city manager.
Yeah.
Because there are so many talented people that are not becoming city managers that need to be city managers. Because as you said, you're right. We need good leaders in every city. Not only in Texas, I prefer Texas, but not only in Texas, but in the entire country. But yeah, and it's a hard job. I know it looks challenging, but it's extremely rewarding. It's rewarding to be able to lead a team and work with council and help make a community better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I took a Myers-Briggs test when I was 21 years old or something like that.
Like a decade ago.
Just a couple weeks ago.
You're welcome for that.
Yeah, and it spit out city manager. I had no idea what that was, and it's true. Even it's true. It was the research today was true, which is basically get to work on so many different things. You're stretched and challenged in so many ways, but you get to work on so many different things, and you get to connect in a community and serve in a community that not only makes a difference today, but for the future.
Yeah. I
will love working in Georgetown. I know we're fast growing, and that's challenging to be in a fast growing community. What I think about it though, and I've shared this a lot, is, you're putting your fingerprints on a community that, that aren't going to be removed, that you get to then see the people get to see the benefit of, not only for today, but for generations in the future, because of how fast you're growing. Hopefully, we're working on, I'm sure there are things we're doing that aren't good decisions today. We're trying to make, the best decisions possible for the day, for the future. But there are a lot that are really good decisions that we made. And there's something gratifying and worthy to be a part of that pursuit. And you get a chance as city manager to really be a key decision maker that you don't get to as an assistant city manager.
I think you're leading the way in Georgetown in ways that you might not even connect the dots. But, you talk about, we probably make some decisions saying not good, but we're trying to minimize those. We're trying to make decisions for the future. And, Jack Daly was on here as a guest, and he talked about building this transfer station and how that's a thing that's going to last and it's going to help. But in the process,
you nerded out about that
in
too.
a process,
I remember
dude,
that. You were like,
love that. I still want to go out there and see it.
All right.
But I love that he got into the fact that in constructing it, they dug up a bunch of old tires that somebody had said, we don't know how to deal with this. We don't want to deal with this. Let's just bury the damn things.
Yeah.
Dug them up and said, how do we not leave tires for somebody? And so
right.
What you're describing there, I think y'all are doing a phenomenal job of that, whether you'll give yourself credit for that or not. But I also love where we started this conversation, where we're finishing it, because I'm wondering how many ACMs look up and think, I've got to prove I'm worthy of that, and I don't think I can, so I'm not going to try. And I think for them to understand, you jump in and you believe that you are meant to be there. You believe that you have what it takes to make that work.
I have talked to several people in the last couple of years who've for some reason reached out to me for advice and said, and we're getting advice. A lot of it was on what other experiences do I need to have? What do I need to do in order to be a city man? I'm like, you don't need any more experience. You just need to go be one.
Just go.
I remember we actually went through hiring 2 assistant city managers at one time, and because we were adding an assistant city manager and then replacement of one, and interviewing people. And there were a few that I interviewed. And I'm like, why are you interviewing for an ACM position? Like,
Yeah.
well, because of this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why? You need to go be a city manager.
Yes.
And what's awesome is both those people right now are city managers.
That's amazing.
And doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
In hard environments, but doing an incredible job. And so, that wasn't the reason why that they weren't hired, right? For us, but it's fit and all those things.
Yeah.
I think we need a lot more people out there being, putting themselves out there a little bit. There's lots of rewards. I know it looks challenging, but there are lots of rewards that are part of it too. I am I will firmly believe this. I am a much better person, much better leader, much better, just much better husband and dad and friend because I've been a city manager. Honestly, if I had stayed as an assistant city manager the whole time, I think there'd be things I would not have learned about myself, not have grown in a way that I can make a better impact on everyone around me.
Well, the job hasn't forced it, because I think people can be city managers and not choose to grow.
No, you're right.
But it has revealed the need for it.
Yeah.
And so I would agree with that. I love that, man. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been a good conversation.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do it. Thanks for pushing on me.
Yes, sir.
I always appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on Leading Thriving Cities. We are dedicated to helping you and your team thrive. As a part of that, we are constantly creating new content and new resources about healthy leadership, winning the battle against burnout, and how to thrive as a team. You're going to find every bit of that on LinkedIn and YouTube. On both platforms, just search for @ForwardPartner, and you will find all this content that we're putting out every single day. We are dedicated to joining you on this journey.